Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the MB Sturgis Pigtail with back check. So our neighbor is actually one of our employees that was in for a few other things. I installed a roof vent on the roof of our trailer here last week, and this week we did a PDI on it, which is a pre-delivery inspection, which is something that most dealerships should be doing but don't always do. So essentially what it is just a thorough check over of every single system inside of our trailer to make sure that everything is functioning properly. And one of the things we noticed is that we just weren't up to our 11 inches of water column that we needed with our propane regulator, which can typically be an issue with the regulator itself, but can also be an issue with the pigtails. So today we're going to be swapping out not only the regulator, but also the pigtails as well, which typically just go hand in hand. So if you are swapping out one of them, probably should be swapping out both. Now, in terms of difficulty, this isn't something that's hard to do. Just make sure that you're being safe. Other than that, just make sure that you also have some sealant. So we have some gas-rated thread sealant tape that we're going to put on for our regulator. That is really all you need to do it. It shouldn't take you more than just a few minutes to do so. That being said, if you're not comfortable working with the propane system on your trailer, you can definitely feel free to reach out and use our dealer locator to find a shop near you and get it professionally installed. If you are wanting to do this yourself though, stick around and I'll help walk you through the process. So to begin our installation, we're first going to want to make sure that we have both of our tanks closed so that we have no gas pressure. So we've got those both nice and tight. What we can do now is also just bleed our line by going inside and turning on one of our burners on our stove. That's going to end up burning out the last little bit of fuel that we have still running through the line, so then we just don't have any kind of pressure when we go to pop these off. Or honestly, if you just unscrew it, just that little bit right there is all you really got. So we can pop that off. Now there might be a little bit more pressure built up in the line running through our trailer versus just our pigtails here. But you can see just how hard and like stiff these already are. So that's just a sign that, you know, these have been well used. It's time to replace them. And the next part, we're gonna get down. Looks like we got plenty of room. We can get to our screws on our regulator. All right, on the back side, just Phillips head screws typically. Might find a square head screw sometimes, but that's pretty rare. We can pop this out. All right, now that I got that off, we can easily spin this off the rest of the way without the swivel trying to fight us. And I'm gonna clean off the thread sealant that's still on here, and we're gonna redo that with some more. You can pick some up here at etrailer. It's from JR Products. We have this awesome yellow. It's a little off-white though, to be honest. But that's what we're looking for. We want to make sure that we get the right style of sealant for this. We don't want plumbing sealant. Get some of that on here. We're going to go clockwise with it, so that way when we thread on our regulator, it's going to also bite into it and keep it rolling instead of trying to peel it back. Get that pretty tight on. Oh, that's great. I like to press it into the threads a bit more too. Keep it nice and tight. And then I'm going to start this on here, but we can fully tighten it more once we have it back on the bracket here. So once again, Phillips. Now we will have to check. Sometimes these will not match up totally perfect if it's a much older regulator, but for the most part, a lot of the newer trailers, like 2010s and up, are typically the same bolt pattern. All right, now that we have the regulator mounted up to the bracket, it's got a little bit more stability, so I can put one hand on here. So like I said, the swivel's not really swiveling as much on our supply line, so I'm kind of holding it. You can see the crimped portion right here is where it's going to swivel on. The nut is going to be separate and actually turn for us. And we're just going to keep tightening this till it's nice and snug. Now over time, your hose can end up getting a little bit brittle, especially it'll get real stiff like you see on this one. You see how it's already kind of just stuck in that form that it's been in forever since it's been hooked up to our regulator and our gas tanks. Now over time, that eventually will wear through the hose. You'll have issues with supply not really wanting to fully come through. eventually it'll get clogged and it's going to be time to replace it, obviously. So one important thing you want to look at is the back. Now, a lot of these are color coded, and that's going to be the differentiator for when you're looking at what the BTU rating is for these hoses. And you want to make sure that you have a high enough rating so that way you can supply enough BTUs to all of the appliances you have in there. So say you have an oven, you can look at that, see what the BTU supply demand is for it, and then go and add that to every other propane item that you have in there, so that way if you are wanting to not only cook on the oven but also have someone shower, so you got the hot water heater going, maybe you got a propane grill that you want to have hooked up outside, you want to make sure that you have enough so that you can supply each one of those without having to turn one off or have issues with it trying to ignite and then maybe it just can't, or the flame's too weak and it just keeps going out on you. So that's where your pigtails and your regulator really can come into play. Now with the regulator installed, we can actually start adding on our pigtails. And I've already installed one side here, but I wanted to show you how to do the other. Now your pigtails can differ, and the fittings that you're going to use can also differ as well depending on the regulator. So with ours, it has a male pipe thread fitting on the actual regulator itself, but it also has an adapter fitting that's already threaded in there, and that is switching us over to a female inverted flare. So our male inverted flare fitting right here is going to match up with it, and it's not going to require us to use extra sealant, so I won't need to use that sealant tape like I did on the supply line running into our trailer, because this is going to seal up on its own. So what I like to do is just pop that in, and I usually try to get the regulator side on first just because it's a little bit easier with the hose not wanting to swivel so much on you. Take our adjustable crescent wrench, we'll finish that off. Don't go too crazy with it, we just want to get it nice and snug. And then with the pigtail, or the Acme end of our pigtail, I like to kind of just twist that up a little bit. Get that nice and tight, and now we can actually turn on our tanks. So what's going to happen with this being a dual regulator and with it being automatic changeover, we're going to have a supply and a backup tank essentially here. All right, so taking a closer look at our regulator, there's a couple things here. A lot of people like to think that this up here is going to control which tank it's pulling from. It will in a certain sense. This is our supply, but at the same time, if our supply runs out, it's automatically going to start pulling from our auxiliary tank. So it makes it so that we don't have that issue where maybe I'm in the shower and I ran out of propane, and then all of a sudden I'm now taking a cold shower instead of a hot one. We don't have that issue. It's going to automatically switch on over. As long as there's some fuel left in our other tank, it's going to be good to go. Now the indicator that we have in the front shows red right now because I have no gas in the lines. We haven't opened up the tank yet, so once we do, and right now it's on supply over to our tank over here, so if I open this up, it's going to change to green. Just like so. You can see there's a little sliver of red on there, so maybe we're starting to kind of start draining a little bit of our tank here. We might need to maybe refill it a little bit, but obviously not too much. It's not a huge change there. But the nice thing about this with it being automatic, like I said, we're not going to have to deal with those outages where we now have to get out of our camper, come outside, open up the other propane tank, and turn the knob over here. The only time we need to turn the knob really is just to make sure, or just to do that quick visual check on how much propane we actually have inside of our tanks. But now with all this properly installed, what we can do is do a leak test, and then that should be it. All right, now that we have done everything, it's time to hit this with some soapy water. We're just going to do a quick leak test to make sure that there is no air bubbles forming with our soapy water. That one's good. This side is also good. Let's check our supply out. No air bubbles there either, so that's going to do it for our install. Now that everything is good, the only thing really left is just your preventative maintenance. So once in a while, maybe reach out to one of our dealers. You can use a dealer locator to do so, and just have them check your regulator. They should have a tool that they can put in line with your supply line there running into the trailer, and be able to check what the pressure is in water column. So what we're looking for is 11 inches in water column, and that is essentially your pressure, which is roughly about half a PSI. So with this being such a lower rated thing, this isn't something you can easily just check at home because you're not going to have the tools for it. But like I said, reach out, use our dealers, or you can come up here and we can also help you out as well, get that all good to go, and make sure that you're supplying enough BTUs and pressure so that each one of your appliances is going to work the first time you try to turn it on.